The boss is turning good and the scientist is the real villain of the Short Wars. I talked about this in my last video, but Johnny Razor has been posting these videos right here where we see Johnny and the boss on a road trip. And Johnny has been making some really valid points to the boss, and the boss is questioning his entire plan. The boss is starting to be redeemed. And I know Johnny and the boss had an argument, but I still do believe that the boss just needs some alone time and needs to consider all the factors. I believe the boss will turn good. In these videos, we also see these logs, and we now know about the scientist, Francis Dave. He is the true villain of the Short Wars. He basically experimented on kids with his cloning machine, whether that was on the soul, the body, or the mind, or multiple. And the boss was one of the experiments. However, the boss was also raised by the scientist. Well, more like was a slave to the scientist. But eventually, after a long time, the boss overpowered the scientist and took over. And that's when season 1 started. Datchia made a fantastic video about this that goes into this a lot deeper, and I highly recommend checking it out. Anyways, there's been talk about this court case, and in Dana's short we hear this.
There's a court case being set up against the boss, so I guess in a couple weeks we'll truly have to answer the question.
A couple of weeks. This was posted on December 22, 2023, and I'm honestly going to take that literally. I think on January 5, 2024, or one day earlier or one day after, is when the court case is going to start or end. I know that sounds like a stretch, but over on my other channel, King Boba Fett, in this video, which is now enlisted, I made a very similar theory, and it was 100% correct. When they say around a couple weeks, I think they mean it. But that gives a lot of time from now till then. I think what's going to happen now is that the cloning and hypnotized scenario is going to be resolved. Or maybe it'll happen after the court case, I'm not entirely sure. But one thing that's going to be the finale is Clone Riggy. I talked about this in my last video, but I think Clone Riggy is going to be the final boss. Also, back to Datchia's video, they made a very interesting theory. Datchia theorized that the scientist put his soul into the machine. And in season 1, when Clone Riggy was being created, the scientist was afraid that it would destroy the machine when it was glitching out. So the scientist put his soul into Clone Riggy, and that's why we see Clone Riggy start to break. This was literally talked about in one of the logs, so it makes perfect sense. I absolutely love this theory that Datchia made. So I think that Clone Riggy / Francis Dave, aka the scientist, is going to be the final boss. But who's going to defeat him? Well, I think it's going to be none other than the boss. I think they're all going to team up on him, but I think the boss is going to get the final hit, finally getting his revenge. But I also theorize that how he does it may be kinda sad. I don't necessarily believe in this theory, but he might in the finale put his soul into Clone Riggy, which cracks him completely and destroys him once and for all, sacrificing himself to save everyone. Or the final clone of Francis Dave talked about in the afternight.mp4 video on C.com's channel is still alive somewhere, I don't know. But hey, that's just a theory. A YouTube theory. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe. And also be sure to check out my last video, where I talk about the boss being redeemed.